What is up, everybody? I'm your Legendary Commander, and welcome back to Baldur's Gate 3, and also a video just on D&D in general. In this video, we're going to talk about the auto-includes or must-takes at level 1 and 2 for spells for a Cleric. This is a Baldur's Gate 3-centric video, however, I will be mentioning some stuff for the tabletop version. So for your leveled spells, and remember as a cleric you get all your spells, but the spells you should definitely have on you pretty much all the time is Guiding Bolt being your first one. Being able to throw a ranged attack that does 4d6 of damage is a lot of damage, and be able to, when you throw it and you hit, the next person who hits gets advantage on their attack. Now as a cleric you're expected to take a healing spell, and what better healing spell than Healing Word. It is better than Cure Wounds pretty much in every way except the amount of healing it does. Healing Word is a battle spell where Cure Wounds is almost an after action spell in my opinion. Cure Wounds is an action spell that you have to run up and touch somebody with, where Healing Word is a bonus action spell that you can do from range. This makes it extremely pliable to do in a pinch when something is going catastrophically wrong, and at the same time remain offensive. The next one I would include is Shield of Faith. Now, I like Shield of Faith better than using Bless, but I would otherwise exchange it with Bless. Shield of Faith is basically allowing you to have +2 to your AC. Normally at low level ends of campaigns, in the beginning, Shield of Faith does a really good job at keeping your AC high, which makes you hard to hit. On the flip side, Bless is a attack roll and saving throw booster, giving you an extra d4 to add to your rolls. Provided you remember to cast this spell and maintain your concentration, it makes it a really good spell to include. And by level 2, you should be able to actually grab this spell up as well if you want to interchange Shield of Faith and Bless. Those are the two I would trade off with. Last but certainly not least, Inflict Wounds. This spell should come with you through the entire game. Being a level 1 spell that can do 3d10s of necrotic damage, you'll do an average damage of 16.5, which has a top end of 30, or if it crits, a top end of 60. What makes this spell so good is it is a touch spell, and as a cleric, most of the time your melee damage is very low. Thus, when an enemy gets close, rather than trying to whack them with a mace or some other weapon, you can hit them with an Inflict Wounds. Moving on from spells to cantrips, I'd highly suggest taking Guidance as your first spell. Having an extra d4 to all your checks is really helpful, and the fact that you can keep casting it over and over means you can basically keep it going at a constant. At the very least, it will help during dialogue checks, because the game allows you to cast that spell during one of those dialogue checks, provided you have an ally or you are close enough to yourself to do that. The next one, only because I believe you should have at least one offensive cantrip in case everything else is going awry, is Sacred Flame. It is pretty much the only offensive cantrip, however, I would only take it because you have really no other combat options. If Word of Radiance was available, I would have told you to take that. With that said, Sacred Flame is an all-range spell. Because it is an all-range spell, that means at close range you're not going to take disadvantage, and you can also use it at far distances. What that means is if you're at disadvantage with all your other attacks, it never hurts to check to see if Sacred Flame would have a better percentile chance. The biggest problem with this spell is it relies on saving throws, which a lot of times is below 50%, and if the target passes, it does no damage. It also gets no additional plus modifiers, so it is only a d8's worth of damage, where you could probably just take a crossbow and shoot your enemy. And the last one I'd suggest is Thaumaturgy. Now, this one doesn't have very many uses. It relies on dialogue sequences, but what it does do is give you advantage on intimidation checks, which can be pretty useful depending on who you're talking to. Now, I know you could use spells like Resistance or maybe even casting Light, although I would argue Light doesn't have very many uses, just it doesn't really get that dark in the game, and most characters have dark vision. That said, when it comes to Resistance, why are you going to cause disadvantage when maybe you could just kill the enemy? Especially at low levels like this, the enemies can die pretty easily if you just attack them rather than trying to create disadvantage. Keep in mind this is a level 1 to 2, maybe level 4, Baldur's Gate, level 1 and cantrip spells. You might change up your spells a little bit as you level up and have other opportunities, but I'd still argue these spells will be following you probably throughout the entire game. But with that said, that is the end of the video. If you liked this video, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure to tell your friends. But y'all take care. And I will catch you next time.